Hey everyone, this year Fellowship of Fans had the opportunity to cover the War of the Rohirrim panel at New York City Comic Con. Afterwards we got to interview the cast and crew and it was a lot of fun. Without further ado, here's the video. How were you first introduced into the Tolkien world?
My introduction to Tolkien was actually the Rankin Bass Hobbit films.
Okay.
I grew up watching that film and became obsessed with it. And there is a book version from the film that has a bunch of stills from the film. It was sort of a really big picture book. It was in my school library, and I loved it so much I stole it from the school library and hid it under my bed for a year. And finally my mom found out I had it and was like, oh, fine, whatever, you can keep it. But I still have it to this day. And that's what started me reading the books. And just, from there, it was all downhill. But that's what the Rankin Bass Hobbit started me, which is why I'm so happy that we're doing an animated film, because I feel like I've come full circle.
I always said Fran and I sort of started somewhere. She was like more Arwen, I was more like Arwen, but actually we ended up with Shelob and Gollum.
Gollum, yeah. Great.
I think I always thought I'd be like, I know I'm not an elf. I sort of thought maybe I'm a hobbit, but now I actually probably think, to be honest with you, I think I'm probably from the world of men, and I'm probably like a housewife in Bree. That's my thought. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll take that though. I just want to go to Middle Earth. I'll take that.
I grew up in Wellington, where we had a workshop, we had a digi, Peter, all based. So to me, it was like growing up and hearing that the guy who brought Marty McFly to Wellington to make a film, which I was obsessed with, was like going to make a new film. I was like, what is this Lord of the Rings? I found it at the school library. I read it. I was probably too young to sort of, a lot of it was cool, whatever, but I was young. Like a lot of the beauty and the rest of Tolkien's, what makes him so special was lost in me, But then, eventually the films come out and my mind is blown, like everyone else roughly my age, and I guess everyone else in general. And yeah, that was my gateway. It was very much the films and just being wrapped up in how exciting those releases were.
My mum is one of the screenwriters on the original trilogy. I mean, if you pan over there, you'll literally see her right there. So it's pretty surreal to be standing here. But you'd think she's such a Tolkien fan. You'd think the moment I was born, she'd be like spoon feeding it to me. But she was good. She was restrained, and she let me kind of come to the text on my own. And I was about 10, and I actually read The Hobbit at primary school, and I did fall in love with it. And they were making the films at the same time, so I saw those next, and then immediately went and read The Lord of the Rings after I'd seen the films. And that was really my way in, and she was very good. She let me kind of find my way there, and then I was like, okay, you're right, it's all amazing.
そうですね、小学校の時に最初に読んで、まずはとにかく難しい、理解するのにも時間かかったっていうのが最初の経験なんですけど、改めてこの作品をやる上で読み直してみた時に、すごくトールキン自身がこうなんていうのかな、ファンタジーの面白さってこう設定を作っていく部分、自分で世界をこう構築していくことができる部分っていうのが一番面白い部分だと僕も思うんですけど、トールキンも実はそこをすごく楽しんでいたんじゃないかなっていうのを改めて読んだ時に感じたんですね。言語学者であったりそのプロフェッサーであるっていうことで、一見こう難しい大人が読むに耐えるものにするためにそうなったんじゃないかなとは思うんですけど、今風に言えばすごくファンタジーオタクというかね、そういう風に本当にこの世界を作っていくこと自体を楽しんで彼が作ってたんじゃないかなっていうのが大人になって読み返した時に気がついた部分です。
So he's, when he was first exposed was when he was in third grade. It was a very formal translation in Japanese, and it was very hard for him to get through because it was very dense at the time, and it was a difficult book. But he learned to, really appreciate it. And as the movies came out, and then also he had another opportunity to dive back into it when he was given the opportunity to do this film. And so, but what he really was impressed with was Tolkien is a world builder. He builds the universe. And the thoughts that went behind it, and the details. So it's the same kind of experience, the process that he goes through when he does his original works. But this is another level, and he really, he must have been a fantasy otaku, is what he's saying, and that's what impressed him the most.
I wasn't hugely clued up on the literature side of things, but I was saying that my dad took me to watch the very first Lord of the Rings movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, when I was 11 years old at the movie. So, and I've been an 11-year-old kid, absolutely blown away by this huge spectacle that I was witnessing before me, and then obviously, after that, the Twin Towers and the Return of the King, and then, subsequently the Hobbit films, I was a huge fan of. So to now, to get the phone call to say that I was going to be a part of that world was just, I was like, pinch me,
I read The Hobbit when I was quite small, sort of read it and was read it by my family, and then tried, a little foray into the Lord of the Rings and went, what's going on? So then watched the films, made a foray back into the book because I had more understanding of what was going on, finished the book and went, well, I've done that now I'm just going to watch the films. So now at least, 3 times a year I watch the films. I do the extended versions as well, and if anyone is stupid enough to tell me they've never seen them, they're not leaving my house until they've watched them.
First introduction to Tolkien. For him or me? Oh, okay. For me, I think it was the books. It's one of those things where I'm an immigrant from Korea, and so when I first came, and then you learn English. I learned English in high school, and but you meet all these friends who are like, it's either Lord of the Rings or Stephen King, Lord of the Rings or Stephen King. It's like, why are you reading all this? It's like, well, this is like, look, if you're learning English, you gotta read this, And of course, I can't understand it because I can't even understand Die Hard, you know what I mean? So, but finally, when I came around to it, and then I was able to understand. So the text was just incredible. I mean, just the novels, the world, And then the next exposure was really the Peter Jackson films, And I was working at Warner Brothers at the time, and I was able to get advanced screenings in this, and it was just electric, the studio, everything, even for people who were working there was electric. And it was just an incredible experience, yeah.
If you could play any race or character in all throughout Middle-earth, who would it be?
I think I would make a good, man of Gondor. I think I would be a good Gondorian. I also might make a pretty good Bjorn type guy because I'm a big ox. So, or failing all of that, I think I would make a good troll of some kind. Yeah.
Troll. That's actually a unique answer. I don't think we've gotten anyone to say troll.
Nobody wants to be a troll, but look, sometimes you need a troll, man.
Well, stupid. I just love the idea of the Balrog just kind of sitting in his cave, and then suddenly people come along, and he's like, "The fuck is going on?" But I don't think I could do that. I don't think I'm a good enough actor for that. I love the energy of the dwarves. I think they'd be really fun. Just because they're just angry and they're just they're scrappers, and I love that. I think if I were to play an elf, I just want to play Legolas. I just think, because I think he's witty. I don't find the elves witty. They're a bit, they're dry, but I think he's witty. So I think I'd like to play him.
Would you get some of that shield surfing in downstairs?
Are you mad? Of course I would. Over orcs' heads, I'm just slicing them off.
It's very, very difficult to answer because you could say, you could be, a wizard like the all-knowing and all-powerful Gandalf, but then I feel like the hobbits have a lot of fun. I feel like, a cheeky hobbit could be pretty fun. So, yeah, I'm going to say the hobbits.
Hobbit?
Yeah, I'd like to play a hobbit.
Pretty good answer.
Maybe I might be a little bit too tall to play a hobbit, but there's something we can mess around with, like the camera trickery.
Fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post, yeah.
If you could produce any story from the Legendarium, what would you like to produce?
There's a bunch actually, but I really love the story of the dwarves who, during the Battle of Pelennor Fields, the dwarves and the men of Erebor that were holding back the Haradrim and the orcs, which is basically what allowed Aragorn to his forces to win the Battle of Pelennor Fields because Sauron's troops weren't backed up. But those guys held the gates, and the Dwarven King dies and the Human King dies, and they even were offered a Dwarven ring by the mouth of Sauron and told him, get out of here. So to me, that's like a really great sort of, it's not lost, but it's a tale most people who are not deep Lord of the Rings fans aren't going to know, that is essentially they're unsung heroes, because if not for them sacrificing what they did, Sauron might have won. So to me, that would be a really cool siege story, another siege.
What story would you like to dive into?
Boy, are we going to use that to say possibly they're going to be doing this film? I can't really be specific, but I mean, look, I mean, the one actually that they're doing right now, I guess that's a safe answer. The search for Gollum, yeah, I would have loved to have done that. But I hear, it's the same screenwriters. It's going, and it sounds like it's very exciting, and that's something that I would have loved to do. But I would love to do a continuation also of our main character Hera, if that's possible, going forward, and that's something that I would love to do. ちょっと他にまたアダプテーション作ろうとしたらどのストーリーがやりたいんですかねって。
まあたくさんあるのでね。でもどうしても指輪をめぐる物語が素晴らしすぎるのでね。それを改めて作ってもっていうのはありますけど、もし挑戦できるならね、もうピーターが作ってしまった世界ですけどね、やっぱりあの指輪をめぐる物語っていうのが違う視点で作れたら最高なんじゃないかなとは思う。
So for him, it's a difficult question, but the main text, the actual novels are just so wonderful, and Peter's done it so brilliantly. How can anybody touch it? But maybe from a different take. Maybe if given a chance, yeah, he would love to do a different take of the three novels. Yeah, from a different POV. That would be something that'd be interesting to him. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Yeah.
If you could go anywhere in Middle Earth, where would you like to stay or live?
I think if I could go anywhere, it's really interesting. Of course, you want to, the obvious thing is, well, you want to see Lothlorien or Rivendell, but honestly, I think Khazad-dûm, because I think especially when you see the artwork that Alan Lee and John Howe brought to that world, and I think it would be terrifying, but it would also be awe-inspiring. And I think I probably would want. And I also feel like there's something about the dwarves that I don't know. They're slightly secretive, and I feel like it's a world that that very few will have seen. So yeah, Khazad-dûm. Where would you go?
Oh, that is a great question. I love Gondor. I would love to be in Minas Tirith.
Yes.
Oh, so
See it.
And I have to say, because we have a team leader, his name's Varking. He loves the dwarves, so hearing that answer, he's going to love that.
Great. Team dwarf.
I think the Elvish Palace with Arwen and the first. I think that Rivendell, yeah. I think Rivendell. I think I'd get bored in Hobbiton. I think I'd get bored. I'd like to go there for a bit, maybe like a day trip. But if I needed like a 3-week, I think Rivendell.
That's such a cool question. You can't make me choose. What? I would go every.
Honestly, like a Hobbit hole for lunch.
Oh, he's just about the food.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, straight to the
Food.
Hobbit hole.
Like literally.
Oh my gosh, where would I go?
It's pretty much lunchtime too, so.
Me in general though, like that's where I'd be with the feasting. Yeah.
I kind of want to go to the mines of Moria. Like that would be pretty epic.
Mines of Moria?
Pretty epic. Go face off against a Balrog or two. That'd be pretty cool.
But lunch though.
By lunch.
11sies, endless tea, cozy fire.
I mean, that's true.
Dinner, supper?
There you go.
All right, anything interesting you want to tell me about your character, Wolf?
I think the fact that he was, I think it's very difficult to understand sometimes. When you found out that I was voicing a villain, it's sort of like when you think villain, you don't think of vulnerability all that much unless you're going to really sort of like start delving deeply into the character's psyche. But I think one of the notes that I got from Phillipa was the fact that Wolf is really there's a vulnerability to him all the time. One of the best notes I could have been given throughout that. So just to know that there's as villain, all this bravado and this tension that he holds within him, and the revenge that he's looking to seek comes from a place of being really vulnerable.
What are some influences you've drawn through to get to your character Hera?
I think I looked at a little bit of Nausicaa from Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind, which is Hayao Miyazaki's first film, because she's a sort of, she's a quite an outrageous, brave, like adventurous princess who doesn't listen to her dad either, who then is forced to sort of grow into being a sort of mature princess who is there for her people. So I looked at that a little bit. I looked at Eowyn as well, and I thought, what would she have been like as a teenager? I think she'd have been quite feisty.
Now, there is a QR code that they're going to post, and if you scan the code, you can go to the landing page to be the first to hear the end song for this film. You guys are going to die. This song is so good. It's completely in the tradition that Annie Lennox brought, that Ed Sheeran brought. It could only be a Middle-earth song, and it's called The Rider. So if you've got the QR code, scan it, and you'll be the first to hear it on November 14th.
Heard it here first. That's going to be great to hear. For everyone from Fellowships of Fans, thanks you guys.
Thank
we
you
look
so
forward.
Much. We put love and tear and blood and soul and all that into this. So please, I hope you guys enjoy the film. Yeah.
War of the Rohirrim.